right, folks, I'm going to give you a quick refresher on downloading USGS data and show you how you can bring it into Excel. So in this case, I'm showing you the long-term sites data set that I've put together. These are all sites with good long-term data sets, and they're spread across the US. So if you want something that's in a slightly different place, hopefully you can pick from here. I tried to sort of select from sites people had used at the start of the semester. If your favorite state is not listed, it's because its watersheds were a little bigger. I'm trying to keep the watersheds a reasonable size for some of the spatial analysis we're going to do. In this case, we've got the USGS station ID. We have the station name, which is telling you the name of the river or creek, and then where it's located. The size in square kilometers, the latitude and the longitude, and the state it's located in. Talk a little bit more about this data in a future exercise. So I'm just going to randomly select one of these sites. Let's grab this site in New York. And the first thing I want to do is copy it. I'm going to open a new Google window, and I am going to say USGS, and then I'm going to paste that site number right in. And you're going to get a couple links that pop up, and the one that you want to select is the one that has the name of your site first. For instance, this site down here is the same thing, but it's not the most recent USGS page. So let's click on that link. It's going to take us to our page. You're going to notice that we have gauge height here, gauge height being, of course, synonymous with river stage, and it being sort of a relative level of water in a given water body. We don't want stage, though. We want discharge. And so if you scroll down, you're going to see all of the other information available at this site. I'm going to click on discharge. And now if I go back up, I see stream flow or discharge instead. In this case, though, we actually want daily data. This is going to give us 15-minute data, which is nice, but for the purposes of today, we just want daily data. So I'm going to go up here to data inventory, and I'm going to say, give me daily data. And it's going to think for a while, and it's going to take me to a page. I'm going to scroll down and make sure the only check mark selected is discharge. You see this is a long-term site, data back to 1937, pretty cool. And you're going to download this for the calendar year and the water year. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to pick 2020. I'm going to say a 101 for January 1st, and I'm going to run this to to the end of December. And I can get a graph that way, but what I really want is data. So I'm going to click on tab separated down here at the bottom. And it's going to take its time, and then it's going to give me a bunch of daily values. And all this last column tells you can see A versus AE. And if you look up at the top, it tells you they're all approved for publication. And in some cases, those values were estimated when something went wrong with the recording at the site. So I'm going to select all this data. I'm going to click at the top and then select all the way down to the bottom. And then I'm going to say copy. The short command on Mac is Command C, or I think Control C on the PC. I'm going to open an Excel file, and I'm going to copy and paste this data into Excel. I'm going to show you my Excel file next. So I have my Excel file here, and when I do that, paste in a lot of extra stuff that I don't need. All of this stuff at the top I want to get rid of. So I'm going to say delete, and then I'm going to right click and get rid of those spots. The problem is when we bring data in from the USGS, it's not in columns. So we need to make it go into columns. I'm going to select column A, I'm going to go to data, and then I'm going to go to text to column. And the option that I always use is delimited. So when I click on delimited, you probably will only have tabs selected, and you don't see any lines down here. There's lots of ways that our data gets delimited, and one way is by a space or a tab. As soon as I click on that, all of a sudden I have rows, I have column lines indicating that it recognizes those as different columns. I'm going to say finish, and this will populate my spreadsheet with date, time, and the streamflow values in CFS. So from here, I can select my two columns. I can say insert, and I can make a nice graph. And if you plot this and you want to sort of restrict things, right, you can always click on any of your axes and say format axis. And then I could make the minimum for this actually be 0 and move it up. I could also click on this axis and say format axis, and you see that it actually has numbers here. So instead of 4, 3, 8, let's make this 4, 3, 9. Oh no, too far. 4, 3, 8. Looks like we have an extra 30 days, so let's say 30 there. There we go. And let's decrease this one by 30. And there we go. Go ahead and label your axis here. And then I'm going to actually, not this. I'm going to copy and paste the same figure. And what I want you to do is to change the y-axis to a log scale. So let's again go to format axis. And then we can select right here, logarithmic scale. And this is the way you're going to look at and see a lot of streamflow data. It'll be on a logarithmic scale because it helps us see the variations in our data set. Go ahead and put these two figures with a nicely labeled y-axis, streamflow and CFS, into your write-up. And you're actually going to repeat this for the water year corresponding to this same year. So go ahead back to your website. You're going to enter the water year. You could either use the end of this year or the start of this year. It's up to you. But remember to look at those specific dates, and you're going to remake these same two plots and bring them into your homework assignment. And that is sort of the extent of what I want you doing with plotting data right now. So way to go. My encouragement is also to save this spreadsheet because you're going to be working with some of this daily data again. So be sure to save this spreadsheet somewhere that you will use it. You could put it on your Google Drive, but you're going to want that daily data again. All right, way to go, folks.